Alan Quinlan, good morning to you. How are you?
Morning, Ger. How are you?
I'm good. Let's talk about the difference in quality between the two teams. We're all feeling a little bit like it's the end of the world. There's always a massive overreaction to defeat in big matches like this when something is up for grabs. But maybe this time it's not an overreaction. Maybe we are a good bit behind France at the moment.
I don't think we're a good bit behind. I think there was a lot of positive signs, particularly in the first half on Saturday night. I thought the Irish team played particularly well. It was, showed signs of the dominance and the way they played in 2018 when they were very successful with the application, the intensity, the energy of the team. And sport can be crazy at times. I think you don't get rewarded always for that intense, and Ireland didn't in that first half. I think the concern for me would be mentally. Robbie Henshaw said at the start of the week that he didn't want he was hoping the team wouldn't go into their shells when they were put under pressure, and you're always going to get put under pressure in Paris. But the performance in the second half compared to the first was a complete contrast, and very concerning, I suppose. And the mistakes, the simple mistakes, they weren't. Sometimes when you're always going to be under pressure, and I said this in commentary, France were always going to get their moments in the game and their period of pressure, and that's what would define whether Ireland would win the game. And I just felt that Ireland had to work incredibly hard to hold on to the ball and get the scores that they got in the first half compared to France. Their tries were just much too easy. So it's a worry, I think. But there's a number of players missing, and the depth has really been challenged now on the team. I think the impact off the bench wasn't good enough, and that's not being disrespectful to the players. They all went on and tried their hardest, but it's just we needed a little bit more quality and more quality with the ball in that second half. And when Ireland got it back to 28-20, they had a line out 7 or 8 yards out, and it was a complete timing issue. It wasn't if France went up and robbed the ball. Dave Heffernan threw the ball in when James Ryan was gone up into the air, and that was costly, very costly. So there was a lot of mistakes there.
Can we focus on the line out, because that's one of the things I haven't heard too much discussion about since. That's a collective systems failure. Is that ultimately rests with the coach, or and I don't mean Farrell. Is that you might know exactly who is ultimately responsible for coaching the line out? Is it the forwards coach, and so therefore is it Easterby?
Yeah, well, he'll look back and he'll ask questions of the players. I think at that level, they're international players. They've got to run the line out themselves, particularly out on the field. That it frustrates me so much to see that, because that's down to the players out on the field switching off a little bit, not getting the timing right, and they lost that line out, went down the field, lost another line out with a bad call to the tail of the line out where France stole the next line out, and that's game gone. That's game over for me, because you don't get many opportunities away from home. And I think that one where Stander forces the penalty to kick into the corner, France are on the back foot. They're a little bit standoffish at that stage, and they're getting a little bit nervy. Ireland are coming back and throwing everything at it, and then you just make a terrible error like that, and it can have an awful psychological blow to the team that are attacking. So there's issues right across the board. I think you can take lots of positives from the first half, but the composure under pressure was a real issue. And 16 turnovers conceded. The stats are crazy, Ger. If you look at this match, Ireland had 60% possession and 64% territory. And France just got easy tries. Then you'll always get a bit of brilliance there, but you could nearly go through every try and say it was preventable. And France should have had to work harder to get those scores, because I suppose on first and second phase, Ireland defended very well. But, Bundyaki kicking away the ball there in the second half. Ball goes down the field. Sexton kicks it back. Andrew Conway, who's normally brilliant under the high ball, sprints up, but just seems to get his awareness wrong, and Boutier catches it clean, and suddenly they're scoring in the opposite corner. When Ireland were on the attack, there are things you look back a couple of phases and you say, well, you get punished at international level for that stuff. So giving the ball away easily when you have it, because you have to work incredibly hard to get the ball. Jacob Stockdale in the first half, I think that was a massive psychological blow. He knocked one on just a couple of minutes before it. He knocks on the ball, then hesitates to go down on it. They get a penalty try. So Ireland concede 7 points and have Caelan Doris in the bin for 10 minutes, So there's a lot of moments in that game that they'll be very frustrated about. And I think there is a depth issue. The number of players that are missing, did make a difference. But that was a game Ireland could have won if they were much smarter in that second half.
Should an international team be allowed to have such big psychological blows happen to them as a result of those mistakes? Should they have a better ability to be able to get over these things that happen in a game?
Yeah, you can say yes, and then you could say no, because it's difficult, even with the most experienced teams on. They're the moments, they're the things you talk about in games. I remember that from my own career, that, being in dressing rooms with lots of good leaders and successful winners, I suppose, and guys who had a real desire, and all the time was how you react when the opposition are putting pressure on you, when they have the ball, when you're hanging on your own line, making good decisions. And that's what makes brilliant teams. And that's stuff that this group have to learn. There's a lot of change, and there's certainly a transitional period of change happening within the team. A number of young, newer players coming into the group, and that will probably continue right through the Nations Cup. But it's down to just a reading of the game and staying calm and composed in those areas. The simple mistakes, like the line-out, are the ones that just, you just win the bloody ball simply, stay in the opposition half. Even if Ireland get a penalty there, kick it over the bar and it's 28-23, it makes the opposition nervy. Whereas you lose the line-out, they go down the field and they're scoring under a try a couple of minutes later from 2 lost line-outs. Knock-ons. The ball, in fairness, in defence for ball going loose in the tackle and stuff, and guys dropping balls, the ball was very, very greasy. But psychologically, they've got to be more ruthless. And look at 18. I know we keep going back to it, but you just sense that Ireland had that composure, had that ruthlessness, didn't panic under pressure when the opposition were rattling away at them, and they've got to try and find a way to get back to that. But that takes a bit of time, and they're rebuilding again.
Well, let's tease that out, right? Because in 18, we had Joe Schmidt, and it was the Joe Schmidt mantra of him controlling everything, all the decisions, nothing was left to chance. The notion of us playing heads-up rugby was never spoken about, right? Now we're trying to play a different style, and it's leading to pods going up in the air early, knock-ons, players randomly kicking the ball forward, other players breaking out of the line and not doing what they normally do well. Like, the one thing that you can say about all that is that there's an uncertainty of outcome, whereas previously we were very sure about when situation A presents itself, we're going to do B or C, but that's it. There's not like a menu list of opportunities for us. So maybe Joe Schmidt was the magic glue that held it together.
But he made the players confident. He showed them stuff in videos that they went out and did in the field, and they got a result from it. So confidence is a massive thing at any level, and at the top level in sport, it's still a big factor. If you're confident and your body language is really good, and you have to figure out how to wear down the opposition psychologically. And that was a lot of young players in that French team who don't have the baggage of and maybe the negativity of French teams gone by, because France haven't won a championship since 2010. They've been dreadful in lots of the last 10 years. Loads of optimism this year for sure. That performance against England in round 1. So they're kind of they're not weighed down by that expectation. And there's a massive change going on there, and a lot of talent in that French side, whereas Ireland are carrying baggage probably from the World Cup, the last Six Nations previous to that, and there's a number of players there. So they're trying to force it a little bit, and I felt they forced it a little bit in that second half. So it's an area where they just got to collectively be better. And maybe we're not good enough in some areas. I don't think the depth isn't where it was. There's no doubt about that. And so that's something that Andy Farrell is going to have to develop. And Mike Catt, John Fogarty, Easterby, they're going to have to get some new blood in around the group. And that's something that's going to happen. But I heard Paul speaking post-match about the change that's happening in the way they're trying to play. And I think he made a very valid point about they're trying to be expansive and change a little bit. But Cup rugby, it was kind of Cup rugby the other night. They didn't have to get a bonus point win. So territory is important, playing in the right areas. And they did a lot of that well. But the second half, they didn't do those simple things that Joe was renowned for putting pressure on, being really efficient at the breakdown, protecting the ball, not giving it away easily. So they kind of went one way and forgot a little bit about, mounting pressure and building pressure on the opposition. Yeah. But France were very good, and listen, you're always going to go to Paris and say, well, it's going to be difficult. But I thought Ireland were the architects of their own downfall in that second half.
And that's always worrying. That's always worrying. Let's talk about Sexton, because I want to play you this clip. It's James Downey and Fiona Steed on yesterday's OTB. Here they are talking about Sexton's response to being replaced at the weekend, which has been the subject of a lot of talk. Have a look at this.
Look, he wears his heart on his sleeve, and I mean, I suppose maybe he could have known that the cameras would pan to him, but of course he's frustrated, disappointed with the way the game was going, probably disappointed with some elements of his own game. I think it's understandable, and I think we can make more out of this than needs to be. Like, jeepers, anybody, even, I don't know, apart from maybe third team's players, nobody wants to come off a rugby pitch. The under-10s don't want to come off when they're swapping them around, when they're playing blitzes and stuff. Like, that's why we play sport. But yes, he does need to come off at times, or maybe not start. And we need to look at the bigger picture piece. I still think he's the best 10 that we have, absolutely. I think that he is probably the best leader that we have. I do think we need to start other people, because if he's injured and if he doesn't make it to 2023 and all of these pieces, and absolutely, I don't think he should start all of the next 3 games. I think we really do need to, to work on others as backup to that. And I think that's normal, and that has to be part of it, and that's the conversation that has to happen.
Should he still be captain, Alan, do you think?
I'm not sure. I think that's not the issue the other night, is Johnny Sexton being captain. I think there's definitely a valid argument to say that, look, maybe now is the time to find a young captain that's going to take us through to the 2023 World Cup. We've probably made mistakes before of probably not introducing players and throwing enough of players in that early enough for the World Cup. We're 3 years out from a World Cup, so maybe it's time to make that change. What are you going to learn in the next few weeks in the Nations Cup? You're going to try and get more experience for some of the younger players. Ryan Baird will come into the group. James Lowe is probably going to get his first cap. There's maybe another few people. Ronan Kelleher needs more game time for Ireland at that level at hooker. So I don't think it's a major issue that we got to change the captaincy. But for me, I said it even before the start of the Six Nations last year and after the World Cup, that James Ryan is the obvious candidate for me. He's a guaranteed starter every time. But I don't have an issue with Johnny Sexton. I think he's an incredible player. He's an incredible leader. He can be a little petulant at times, for sure, and sparky. But I thought it was a mistake to take him off on Saturday night. Ireland are 8 points down, a real tough competitor. The gap, it's different if Carberry's on the bench and he's coming on. And with all due respect to Ross Byrne, there's still a massive difference between our starting fly half and the backup and Jack Carty and the other players that are behind. I don't think it's a major issue. And should he be captain? Should we now just go, oh, well, he shouldn't be captain? It depends on what Andy Farrell sees right. I think it's nearly time. It may be the time might be right to make to bring James Ryan in, make him captain, maybe wait till the Six Nations and see how that goes. But in the next few weeks, there'll be a certain number of changes in the team, so you might see a couple of different captains for some of the different selections. But
yeah, that makes sense. Alan, we're almost completely out of time, but on balance, so we now have a full Six Nations, and okay, it's very difficult to put the whole thing together and look at it, but take a step back. We do have a full Six Nations of what Andy Farrell's Ireland is. What's your judgment on that so far?
Well, they won 3 games. I think it's always the case. It's always going to be hard going to England and Paris, to Twickenham and Paris. So I just think England showed that there is a gap, and we've got to try and close that gap in the next couple of years for sure, and be more competitive when we play England. The regret the other night is that French team were there to be beaten. They weren't absolutely brilliant. Of course, they've individual brilliance, but I just think the mistakes in the second half will Ireland will learn from that, and it's just frustrating now. But they're back on track for Friday week. And if I could just say quickly before, I know we're out of time, but I thought the reaction to Johnny Sexton being taken off and everyone saying that he showed bad leadership is absolute rubbish. I think he showed exactly what you want right across the board. I know at times he can be criticised for his reactions, but he's frustrated, and I have no issue with that. So I just want to say that I have no issue with his reaction coming off, and that's the way he should be.
Is it not disrespectful to Ross Byrne? Like all that stuff about?
No. What do you want him to do? Start hugging Ross Byrne?
I want him to get off as quick as possible, because the coach has made the decision to say, I think my job is to win this game, and in my judgment, because I know the squad better than everybody else, I'm taking you off because you're not doing what I want you to do, and actually putting Ross Byrne on gives us a better chance of winning here.
Well, I don't think he deserved to be taken off. So for me, he's entitled to that reaction.
Are you? Because
you are.
But then, is that not lawlessness, Alan? Is that not the whole point, where literally everybody can start huffing and puffing? And what's the whole point? So next time he's in the huddle as captain, saying we're going to go out there and we're going to do this for each other. Is Ross Byrne not looking at him going, you don't mean that? You're going to throw your toys out of the pram if I get subbed on for you?
I don't think Ross Byrne, he doesn't have an issue with Ross Byrne. He handed him the ball. He's nodding his head as he's closer to the touchline. He's not nodding his head going towards Ross Byrne. He handed him the ball and walked off, and it's then. So I don't think so. Everyone has an opinion on it. I don't think so. And I've been critical of Johnny before sometimes, his reactions. I think that shows an incredible desire, and it's hard to keep your emotions in check there. He shouldn't have been taken off. It's as simple as that. And I don't think it's like 2 kids in a playground that you're passing the ball over, and they're adults. Ross Byrne is already out on the halfway line when Johnny Sexton is close to the touchline. He said, that's what I think. Okay. I don't think so then to come off smiling and high-fiving people. I don't expect that either, because we're getting beaten. But get off quickly and get it. Don't be the centre of attention. Don't become the story. But actually, I'd say Andy Farrell's probably pretty happy that the focus is on Sexton as opposed to Farrell's decision to take Sexton off. Yeah, well, the attention is on Sexton because the camera is on him, really. So it's not his fault. That's just the way he is, and that's what's made him such a great player over the years. So I think a little bit too much. I agree in some sense with what you're saying. Okay. Some people would love to see him, patting Ross Byrne on the back and giving him positive messages. But look, it's difficult to do that. So that's just the reality. Andy Farrell, I think, it's a big call. It's a big call to make. And if it works out, and if Ross Byrne does some brilliance out in the field and they win the game, well, he's justified. But I just think when you're 8 points down there, I thought it was the wrong call at the time. But look, you live and die by the sword, don't you? Coaches and players do. But look, I do think that maybe we could have had a bigger conversation about Farrell's decision-making there and his decision-making generally across some of that as well. So look, we have plenty of time because there's nothing else to talk about. Well, he should have brought Chris Farrell on, and he should have taken off Jacob Stockdale and put Andrew Conway to full back. I think that would have been a big call to make at half-time. Jacob Stockdale looked nervous. He'd made those mistakes. And I think getting Chris Farrell out in the field would have been and should be an option going forward, because he offers a huge amount in attack. Yeah, I definitely, we can tease that out as well. Alan, good stuff. Thanks a million. 6 minutes past 8 here this morning. It's Alan Quinlan's thoughts on the weekend's rugby. Loads of thoughts from you guys coming in as well. Wayne Ryan says Sexton's attitude of being subbed was childlike. He saw himself on the screen and started shaking his head. My man knows how he plays. It's very predictable. Paulie on Twitter says it's time to change the line out and let some of the new up-and-coming players get game time. A clear out is needed. 0879 180 180 is the number if you want to get in touch with us here. And
Yeah, so OTB AM is live in association with Gillette. Good morning. Start with Gillette, giving you the confidence to tackle the day ahead. We have a really busy hour coming ahead. Going to hear from Tommy Walsh. Going to chat to Kieran Carey. Kieran Donaghy's going to join us shortly, and we're back with the football next.